Hey everybody, I'm real sad. I miss you guys. This room is completely empty. I'm doing this talk by myself to my cell phone, but you're on the other end, which is great. And I wish you were all here. I do miss having you guys in the room. The church is closed up right now. The office is open, so all the staff are working, but we're not having any groups meeting on site, and that means that I don't get to see you guys until the country lets us get together again. But with that, I thought that instead of stopping everything and not hanging out and hearing from you guys in the next however long it's going to be, I thought we would still meet. So we're still going to do Sunday stuff. And I've got things planned and ready for you guys. I got some big plans for how we can meet even while we're at home. So let's get started on this. I've got some announcements for you, and then we'll jump into our talk for this morning. We're on YouTube right now, and you can watch this anytime after Sunday. It'll still work. Whenever something comes up within the video that you have a question about or you want to comment on, please comment on the video. It will record your comments for everyone else who's there to see, and they can reply and answer questions and all of that. I will also be live while this video is up on Sunday. Right now it's Thursday, so let me put that in perspective. I'm doing a video for the future. So right now I'm recording. I can't see anything you're typing because the video's not up yet. But on Sunday, while the video's playing, I will be on YouTube live with you, and I can answer questions and make comments with you while you're there. So jump in, be a part of the conversation. If you comment after Sunday, I'll still get around to it, I just won't be live. So once I get to the video later, I'll jump on and answer your questions. So leave your questions, and we'll have a conversation about everything that's going on here. Be happy to hear from you. And I just want you to know, I really do miss you guys. It's sad that you're not here. So let's keep meeting, let's keep hanging out. I didn't forget about you, please don't forget about me. And we'll have a good time here. So here's some announcements for you for what's coming up. All of these announcements are to be determined. We don't know exactly what we can do and can't do in the future yet, but I'm not going to cancel everything now, because if we can leave our houses soon, then we're going to get back together and we're still going to do stuff. So the first announcement is Nerf Wars. It's scheduled for April 17th from 7:30 to 9:30 p.m. We'll be here in the church shooting Nerf guns at each other, and that's going to be awesome. So I'll let you know if that's still happening. Right now it is, until we get final word that we can't, and I'll give you more details as we get closer. Good Friday Experience is the same thing, April 10th from noon to 7:45. We'll be here turning this church into Old Jerusalem in Jesus' last day before the resurrection, walking around. We're trying to set up an experience for you to experience what that looked like or what it felt like or things that were going on. If that doesn't happen on that day, we're trying to do like a digital Good Friday Experience where we'll take you through so you can do it through your computer. I'll let you know as we figure that out. We're not making any finalized plans yet until we know, but as we know, I will fill you in on what's going on with that. And lastly, I set up a Discord server for the Oakwood Middle School group. Discord is like a Skype or a Twitch app, kind of, where you can get in there and leave messages and talk to people who are connected in there. And there's ways that you can hook up a microphone on there so you can talk to people, kind of like a phone conversation, but with everybody who's connected on that site. It's really cool, it's really fun. The link goes out to your family on Friday, which today's Thursday, so that's tomorrow for me, but it's already out to your family now, because today's Sunday that you're watching this. This is really weird, I'm not used to talking in the future. But you could ask your family about that Discord link. I'll try to post it in the YouTube comments too, so you can hop on there. You don't need the Discord app, you just need to click the link and it'll bring you right into the Discord thing, and you'll be all set to go. Make sure you talk to your family about using that at appropriate times too. I know we're all doing digital school right now. I won't be hanging out while you're doing school all day long. But I'm trying to schedule some times during the day for like a half hour, an hour here and there, where I will be on and you guys can jump on with me and we can hang out and we can chat and we can share prayer requests and encourage each other and just see how life is going on back at home. I'm also purchasing and picking up Jackbox games, which is like a party game thing that you can do online. And I'm going to try to host some Jackbox games through Discord, so that on certain nights of the week, you guys can jump on with me. We can play games together and laugh together and have a good time during the week, even while we're at home. So more details to come. Actually, you'll have them by Sunday. The link's there. I'll fill in your families on what's going on and give you a schedule of kind of what we're looking at over this upcoming week, so you can come hang out and chat with me there. So I'm really looking forward to all of that. I think and I know that this time is kind of scary and crazy, but it's also a great opportunity for us to still stay connected and to share prayer requests, to be praying for each other, and to be encouraging to each other. Even though we can't be in person, we have technology available that we can still do stuff together. So let's do it. Let's have fun with it. All right. Well, that's all the announcements for this morning. I'm going to move into our talk today, so let's get started. I'm ready for you to hang out with me. It should be a fun time. I know that a couple weeks ago we talked our first talk on dating, and you might have thought that the coronavirus would stop me from continuing and finishing our dating talk. Ha! Don't be fooled. No virus can stop me from talking about dating with you guys. We're going to be finishing our talk and answer the question, why is dating awkward? I had a lot of questions that asked about just, what makes it awkward, or why do parents think it's awkward that their kids date and all that stuff. So I kind of all grouped them all together and went over the whole topic of why dating was awkward. Before we get into that, though, I want to remind you about last time's talk. So it's been 2 weeks now. We talked about when should I date? That we asked that question, try to answer what's the appropriate time. There's a few things that we talked about I want to review with you real quick. The first thing that we talked about is the purpose of dating. We said that the purpose of dating is to pave the way towards marriage. That when we date somebody, we're having marriage in mind while we date. It's not that we're going to marry that person no matter what, but we have our lives set up and ready to go, that if we were to start dating and get married, we'd be ready, and we're not going to have things missing. So like a job or a place to live or parent approval, stuff like that, all of that gets played into what the purpose of dating is. And so it changes why we date, or the thought process about why we date. If we're not thinking about marriage when it comes to dating, then we shouldn't be dating in that regard, because it ends up being a really dangerous thing at that point. Another thing we talked about is whether you're dating now or you're looking to date in the future, or if you've dated in the past or you think dating's gross. All of those answers or questions or ideas are good, but it all matters now. That this dating topic still matters no matter what area you fall in on there, because at some point we're going to have friends and people we know who are or are going to date. And if we aren't going to date, or we decide not to, but our friends are, we can still be an encouragement and a help to our friends in their dating times and the struggles that they may have. And so please listen in with me. I know it's an awkward topic and a hard thing to talk about. And even now you got the benefit, we're not even in the same room. So you can giggle at home and no one will know that you're giggling about it. But all of that talk still matters, because we're going to have people we know who are going to date. And someday, if you're not dating now, in the future you might, and this will be really good stuff. Or if you are dating now or have dated in the past, this stuff's really pertinent for you now, for what's coming up. And the last thing that we talked about is that having questions is a good thing. And we should share those questions with people. In my opinion, you should share questions with a caring adult or a parent or guardian about things that you're thinking about with dating in particular, because they have more experience in that department than our peers do. Our peers aren't married. They don't know what the track is or the path to go down when it comes to dating. They may think that they have some good ideas, but I would challenge that we look to people who have dated already or are dating and see how things are actually going. I imagine that it's not going as well as they hope it is. So I would encourage you, if you have questions, don't be afraid to ask. Leaving comments on the YouTube to ask questions, and I can answer them, I'm happy to do that. And our leaders, if they're tuning in, they'll answer those too. I would encourage you to ask your family members about it, especially now that you're home. You got time to talk about it. Bring it up with them. See what they say. They really do want to talk to you about dating. It's a good thing, and your parents and guardians want to hear from you on what your thoughts are and help you with that. And they have lots of good experience with that too. All right. So why is dating awkward? I'm just going to jump right in on this topic, because I have a couple little activity things, not activities, but this isn't a flannel graph, it's a whiteboard, but it's the closest thing I've got to a flannel graph, and I'm going to put some stuff up here to explain why dating is awkward. So the first thing that I think that makes dating awkward is people often let emotions and feelings drive their life, or they make decisions based on how they're feeling, not based on what the wise decisions are, right? So let's break all this down first. There's a couple things in play here when it comes to all of this. The first one is our brain, right? And our brain is the place where we make decisions, we process things. The key word with our brain is that we want to make wise choices that we do. We don't want to be run by other things. We want to think through what the decision is and make the wise decision during that. Another thing in play is our emotions. We all have emotions, and there's a whole bunch of emotions. Emotions are a good thing. They help skew and change decisions that we make, either good or bad, right? If we're happy about something and we're looking to make a decision that makes us happy, those things go hand in hand. That's a good thing. If we're looking to make a decision and we're upset or we're frustrated with it, we still might have to make a decision that keeps us frustrated, or we may make a different decision that makes us happy instead of frustrated. A good example of this is like why I have such a big tummy, right? Because sometimes if I get frustrated, I make the decision that I should go eat. This is such a goofy example. I just thought of that off the top of my head, right? But it's a really good example, right? The best and wise decision is not to eat when I'm angry, but sometimes my feelings take over that, and because I'm angry, I eat, right? You get that whole play there? It skews our decisions sometimes. Then the last thing to play is our behaviors or our actions. That's just the outcome of what our decisions and our emotions are playing in. So when we actually follow through on whatever we're feeling or whatever decision that we've decided to make, that's where our behaviors come in, right? Let me illustrate it like this here. So forgive me for a second. First off, I've got some train cars that I made, right? Because I think that how we make decisions is sort of like a train on a track heading the same direction, right? And at the head of the train, or the engine, is our head. That's kind of funny. At the head of the train, the head. Right? At the head of the train is our brain, our head. It's wisdom, right? And we want the whole car, the whole track, the whole train to be pulled by wise decisions, by what our head is thinking, right? And behind this train is all of the cars, right? So you might have a feeling of boredom, right? And that's behind the train there, right? Or you might have a feeling of excitedness. These are all emotions that we feel, and those emotions come into play, and they're being pulled by our decisions, but we still feel them, and they're still good. They're good things to have, right? We might have the emotion of anger, right? Or sadness, right? Or love. We love that love word. There it is, right? And this doesn't mean that all of these emotions are in play all the time. There may be times where we're making decisions and we're not bored and we're not angry or sad, but we're feeling love, or we have a love. Yeah, we're feeling love. We have the emotion of love in play, and we're excited about something. And so these things come into play here, right? And then the last thing, I didn't put this up, but then the caboose, right, is our behaviors, the actions that we take. So we're having our wisdom, our head, our brain make decisions with our feelings in mind in tow, and then our behaviors take up the rear, and we proceed with that decision, being guided by our head, right? Or another thing, right, maybe we're not excited, right? Maybe we're just really angry, right? And we make decisions based on our anger, right? But we want to make wise decisions with our feelings in mind, and then follow through on the wise decision that we decided to make, right? The thing where it gets tricky, I know this sounds kind of goofy, like dumb mouse, that makes sense. But what happens, and why I think dating is awkward in some of this, is that sometimes people like to mix these up, right? Sometimes people get so angry that they don't think through a decision to make, and they just make a decision based on their anger, right? Or maybe it looks like this sometimes, where we're so angry that we just decided to act, but we didn't think through how we acted, right? And if you've seen trains before, this don't work very well. So there are trains that move with an engine behind, but it's more efficient, it works better, it uses less power, all that stuff. It's better for the train and all the cars if the engine pulls the train, right? And it's the same thing with our emotions and our behaviors and our actions and all of that, is that we want to think through the wise choice first, always. Be led by the wise choice. Our emotions come into play, and our emotions matter. They really do. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying your emotions don't count. Emotions are great. I think that if we didn't have emotions, we would just be like monologue robots, and we would just sit and talk and gab the whole time, and we wouldn't have any feeling, right? It actually separates us from animals in a certain way too. Like, we may think that our dog has feelings, and they might, but they're not like feelings like people feel, right? Dogs may be happy, and they may be angry, and that's about all dogs do, right? But they don't express it in the same way that people do. And people express things in all sorts of things. It changes our whole life when we have emotion in play. But if we run our lives based on our emotions, then we start to get into trouble, because we'll make decisions based off the emotion, not based off the wise choice that we want to make. I hope that makes sense in how that goes. Is this order matters. When we make decisions, we want to make sure we think through and are run by wisdom, not by emotion or just by behaviors just for the fun of it, right? And just one last thing too, like sometimes you see these cars, they're all the same size because maybe we feel things the same way. But I think there's some people that, and the reason why it gets really awkward is some people are just really, really, really driven by love. They have so much love, right? Especially when it comes to dating. They love so much. And this train car is huge. And it actually, because it's so big, it runs the whole train, and they think that that's all they feel is love, and so they just make decisions based on love, not based on wisdom, and they let love direct their life, and that's why dating gets awkward, is people make decisions and do things that maybe aren't appropriate for the situation, or aren't being reciprocated by somebody else, or they just don't make sense, right? It's just not a wise choice in the situation or the time that it's in. And you can think of all sorts of examples of that how you want. If you have questions about that, feel free to ask. I'm not going to get into the nitty-gritty on that. But I think you can track with me and understand that dating gets awkward when people act on their emotions and not act out of wisdom. When they feel something that it just overpowers their life, that all they can do is act out of that emotion, and they don't make the right choice. Does that make sense? I hope it does. I hope you like my flannel graph too. This is kind of fun to make. You wouldn't believe that it took me like 30 minutes to cut all this stuff out, put all the words up here, and tape all of it up so that you guys can see it. So I'm going to put the others up here. We'll get into something else here. Which one should be up front? Excited? I'm going to put anger or boredom at the back. Boredom's not very fun. I hope you guys aren't bored at home. I know I'm not. I got a new game coming out tomorrow, Friday, which is actually 2 days ago for you guys, but I'm excited to play at home with my wife. We got Animal Crossing on the Nintendo Switch, and it's going to be sweet. Okay, anyways, enough about that. So, why is dating awkward? There's one answer of why dating is awkward. Some people like to be run by their emotions and make decisions based on their emotions instead of through wisdom. So, let that be encouragement for you, too, when you get into the dating sphere, right? Make wise choices first. Go and have your emotions make decisions, or not make decisions, help skew your decisions, but still act on wisdom, not on emotion only. Does that make sense? I hope it makes sense. Ask questions if you have questions. Okay, here's another thing. Let me find where I'm at here. Yes, okay. All of these things. I don't know if you can see my table, but there's like a whole bunch of colored note cards. I had this really sweet plan prior to us getting shut down that we were going to take all these cards and divide them up on each side of this board on where they fit into categories. There's a whole bunch of words that describe the difference between love and the difference between infatuation. Let me tell you about that real quick, right? I want you to leave a comment on the YouTube channel. Man, this is so weird for me to say. I want you to leave a comment on the YouTube video. You can pause the video right after I finish saying this and write your comment, and then hit play again, and I'll tell you all the answers, right? If you just want the answers, just listen, right? But it'd be fun if you pause the video after this, write your comments on how you would do this, and then hit play, and then we'll talk about it a little bit more. But in the comments, I want you to explain how you would explain the word love to someone who doesn't know English very well, right? So you just met someone who is not from the United States, they're learning the language, and they hear the word love. How do you explain love to them? So go ahead and hit pause, and I'll pause here for a couple seconds, and then hit play, and we'll get started. Awkwardly pausing. Awkwardly pausing. Okay, hopefully you got your comments in. If not, just go back. I'm going to answer that question right now. And by that, I mean, I'm not even going to really answer it here for a few minutes, because I'm going to throw a curveball into your comments. Right? Have you heard someone say, I love my boyfriend or girlfriend, or like your family might say, I love my wife or my husband, or I love my kids? Right? So there's one word of use of love. But what about the phrase like, I love my new shirt? Right? That kind of love and love for a family member or a spouse is different. Right? How about I love my brother? Even that's different than love for a shirt or love for between a husband and wife. And another one, how about I love that song? Right? All of those words, those uses of love are different. They mean different things, but it's the same word for love, right? It's crazy how much difference it makes, but that's one problem or one difference with the English language versus the Bible's use of love, because in Greek, there are 4 words for love. They all mean love, but there's different degrees of love, kind of like what those phrases have for love. So here's what they are. The first one is storge. I don't know how to pronounce that right. Storgae. And it stands for family love. It's a kind of family love. So it's like a father's protection for their kids or their family, a mother's self-sacrifice for their kids. That's what that storge love is. So that might be like, I love my brother. That phrase would be like a storge love. The next one is filio, which is like friendship love. So it's like having or wanting the best for a friend, or like brotherly love, a love between community. A way I like to explain filio is like the love that Frodo had for Sam in Lord of the Rings. But they're best friends, and they traveled the world together. They went through some crazy experiences. They're not dating. They're not family. but they're super close. They have like a brotherly connection almost, even though they're not blood relatives, because of their friendship together. So they have a filial love, a friendship love with each other. Then there's eros, which is the next word for love, which is a love for things. So it's like a desire for something, or in English it's the word lust or infatuation, right? So we may think of the phrase, I love that song, or I love my new shirt, right? That would be an eros love. It's a desire for something or things, right? And I said the last part there with English, the word lust and infatuation are tied to that too, because it's not a love for somebody, it's a love for something that they are in that way. And the last one is agape. And you may have heard agape before. We use it at the church a lot because that means unconditional love. God is the perfect example of unconditional love. Unconditional is what it sounds like. There are no conditions for how much that someone can love you. That's what agape means. So that would be like marital love. People who are married have agape love for each other. God's love, it's a love that has no determining factor. There's nothing you need to do or be in order to be loved. That's what unconditional is. A verse I think of this is Romans 5:8 that says, even while we were still sinners, Christ died for us. Right? He loved us so much that even while we were sinning and spitting in his face, right, he still loved us and died on the cross for us. That's unconditional love, right? So those are four: storge, filio, eros, and agape. We're going to break down eros and agape specifically, right? The love and the lust. So let's put that on the categories here. There's love, which would be like unconditional love, like agape. I'll put that in here so you guys can see that. Agape. And then there's infatuation. Let's see if I can spell that right. A-T-I-O-N. There it is. And this is eros in Greek. Love for things. Okay, you guys see that? So love, unconditional love, agape, and infatuation or eros, or a love for things. And what I did here to maybe try and illustrate a little bit is I made a whole bunch of cards. And like I said, I was going to do this with you guys in group. So we're going to do this on camera. I'll just kind of go through it all with you. I was going to have you guys split these up and see if you can determine what these cards and where they go. But since we're not together, I'll give you all the answers. So the first word is lasting, right? So as I go through these words, think through where would you put them real quick, and then I'm just going to put them on the board, and you can second guess yourself, or not second guess yourself. That's the wrong phrase. You can reevaluate your answer that you came up in your head. So lasting. When you hear the word lasting, do you think that's agape love or eros love? Is it unconditional love or infatuation? Right? Lasting, we know, is agape love. It's unconditional. It's love that goes on and on and on no matter what happens, right? How about being in love with another person? Right? That one definitely is agape as well, right? It's loving someone, not something. All right, next one. How about the phrase I put in quotations? When you hear someone say, I want you, that's such a goofy phrase. Ugh. It's creepy, right? That would be definitely an infatuation one, right? It's a love for something, not a love for someone. How about feelings of security? Right? When you have agape love for somebody, unconditional love, you feel secure with them, you enjoy being around them, they don't make you feel untrusted or lacking in something. A feeling, right? A feeling is going to be infatuation. Love is a verb, it's something that you do, it's something you show for somebody. A feeling is like one of these, and I know I use the word love up here, it's different, right? The infatuation love is something that you feel, it's not something that you act or that you be. Temporary, right? I think that goes the opposite of lasting, right? Temporary is eros, right? Infatuation. How about giving? The word giving. Which one gives? Does infatuation give to people, or does agape love give to people? Right? We know agape does. Jesus gave his life for us in that way. And people that we know that love us unconditionally, they love to give gifts to people. Grows with time. The phrase grows with time. It's definitely agape, right? As you go,